play a part in it.
And we all have colluded, you know.
We have not brought this community to any kind of accountability on anything. Tamir Rice was a feel-good project.
His life is not viewed as real.
And the fact that that life was taken away wasn't either. So how do we create real motivation and energy if the people who are organizing around it see him as an issue and not as a human life that was interrupted? That is a real loss.
Not just to his mother and family and friends, but an actual loss to this community. I would have liked to have seen a lot more education.
A lot more critical thinking.
And a lot more commitment to the family.
Because it went too quickly from Tamir to police brutality in general. It went too quickly from what happened to Tamir to
how are we going to fix it the next time?
And you can't fix anything
unless you understand it
as a whole thing.
It's kind of like a protest, you know. Ain't nobody protesting, so we as actors have to do it. We have.
What's like a protest?
The play. We as actors, we have to tell Tamir Rice's story. Explain why justice isn't being served for not just Tamir, but for the 137 shots for Eric Gardner, for Michael Brown.
And so many others.
Yeah. Maybe 3 weeks.
This is our 3rd week and our last one.
No, how long have y'all been performing?
You were on stage.
Oh.
Since I was like 7 years old.
Since I was
7 years?
How old are you?
14.
So
yeah,
7
about
years.
7 years, yeah.
Since I was, second grade, so I was 6. Since I was 6, so that's 4 years.
And I've been performing 2 years as an adult, but I did some stuff when I was a kid too.
I have hearing.
I was at my house and it just came on TV.
Well, basically, we were just talking, playing.
Like, how do you feel? Do you remember how you were feeling the moment it happened?
Well, what happened was it just caught me by surprise because I was just having fun in that. Well, not in that community, but in my community, we were just having fun, and then it just happens. Like I just hear it, like.
Somebody just walked up and told you?
No, because my mom and my dad told me, like, we just playing, my cousins and I, and then they just say, hey, we were watching the news and this kid, Tamir, just got shot.
I was scared.
And
Why were you scared?
I was 12 years old when it happened.
It just
could have been me.
It just struck me because I was 8 years old, and I was wondering, what if they would do that to me, like if they can do it to a 12-year-old, they can do it to
I was mad. I think I was at work. And then I went to the Tamir Rice, I guess it was like a community meeting. And the mayor was there and the chief of police was there. This was before the video was released. So it was just like everybody meeting to talk about it. But I was definitely upset and it was crazy. It was crazy.
Okay, and why were you scared?
Cause I was 12 when it happened. You know, it could have been me. So.
How did you decide what characters you were gonna play?
We were given they wrote theirs for the most part, but the adult actors were given their monologues. I ended up with 3 very different people, but yeah, we all were given ours.
To someone who was hate, like you came from someone, police officer who loves the system and is sticking up for it, then you just go to someone who's like banging the system down. Well, my little ritual that I always do, my way to get in the zone isn't like most people where they just focus. Mine is I have to get myself pumped up for most of the time. Then I pray, always pray. And after that, maybe like right before the show's about to start, but the whole time I'm getting pumped, it goes through my head what I'm trying to do and why I need to do this. And just try and keep the show going and keep the energy up. How
do you kind of relive the moment?
Boy was shot unnecessarily.
Right, it's not hard to relive that moment. It happened in Cleveland. It's 2 years. 2 years ago for Cleveland is not that long. Not for real, for real. It's a lot that happens in Cleveland, but that was a big deal. I don't think it's difficult at all because everybody who's involved was upset and didn't like the way that things panned out. So it's not difficult.
Y'all agree on that?
Yes.
You also got the 137 shots.
Right. Right, we bring that up quite a bit, Melissa Williams.
We even have the monologue of the mom.
The mom, Melissa Williams' mom. Spares Cleveland a federal trial. Under the terms of the settlement, Cleveland does not admit wrongdoing. What?
In general, consent decrees are shams. They don't hold any weight in any situation. For example, there was a consent decree in 2004 that said police chases were no longer acceptable.
But that didn't stop the chase that led to 137 shots.
So this new decree became a project of activists in the community instead of the project of getting justice for Tamir Rice.
What's the message that you want to get across when you?
I think for me is different for every monologue that I give. What I'm trying to get across to the audience. But what I want them to walk out of here with is definitely, if they didn't come with this mindset, with this thought process, then I want this to be a part of their thought process now. So a lot of people, because of white privilege and things of that nature, they don't recognize that there's an issue. It's just the way things are for them. So I think that's what people need to see. Black people, we deal with it, but we've been reaching a lot of different cultures, and that's what I'm liking to see. And I just want them to walk out with the thought process.
What I want them to get is really what they said. I really want them just to have the thought, just to start the conversation. Like, it just needs to be said. That's what I have.
What needs to be said?
We need to start saying that this was unnecessary. We need a change. Because, yes, there is a lot of people who are asking for a change, but obviously it's not enough to make them change it.
Probably the opening. The opening was fun. It's dramatic. It's great.
My favorite thing is I got two favorites. I'm sorry. Is the two mothers. One, Tamir's mother, when she talks, like while we're backstage, like we're laughing with her, we're crying with her. It's like an emotional journey for all of us every single time. And then there's also Melissa Williams' mother. And like we go through that with her also.
And why do you feel this play is so important?
I need to light up the stage.
Just because it needs to be said. It needs to be done. If we don't do it, we're like one of the only people who really put it out there, other than like the video and the news. If we don't do it, if we don't care about it enough, then who will? Basically what he said, we need to give it a voice. Because, especially in our things, like you always hear the adults, but you don't really see how the kids really respond, and the kids get it too. That's their uncle or their auntie or their mommy or their best friend or their brother. It doesn't just hit the adults, it actually hits the kids a little more.
That's what I want to go into. How did the kids respond when this happened? Like, how was school? Was school different? Did the teachers talk to you about it?
Nobody was really talking about it.
The teachers didn't talk about it, but my friends and I, we talked about it, especially in social studies, because we're studying social economic stuff. What about this? Does this make sense based on what you know? Does this make sense in the justice center, in this system from what you've studied? And also because some of my friends, they were best friends of Tamir. I've heard great stories about Tamir, and then, wow, that just happened.
To get involved, that can't do plays or anything, this is your message to the youth, since y'all are the youth, to the world.
Basically, kids, they don't watch the news because the news is boring. Watch the news. Try and learn as much as you can. Try and protest as much as you can. Get your parents involved. Go to those meetings. Try and be that difference. Because maybe, just maybe, if one more person comes, maybe you could be the difference to take it from where it is and turn it upside down. You could be the last person that we need to get the change.
Do y'all have any last words?
Come see the shows last weekend.
You need to see it.
I'm still processing it. I just texted a friend and said,
Well played, Cleveland.
well played. You know what I mean? Because obviously the city was more strategic than the community was around attending to these issues.
I think that black people's egos were easily played.
Because you got activists off the street
And onto various committees.
and people felt proud and
To
honored.
be invited to this mythological table.
You had people organizing in the community around the issue, and the city responded by inviting folks to create a draft of the consent decree. So you had people focused on that.
and away from Tamir.
And then after that, you had a committee formed to look at the final draft of the consent decree. So then people were
Needing to do that instead of focusing on Tamir. All of those committees have no influence on actual change to the conditions of our community. To Tamir's life or to any young African American male who might be targeted by law enforcement.